Hello, welcome back to another episode of Knockout Analysis, presented by Cronio Media. I am your host, Ethan Cronister. Your co-host, Mr. Whit Barnes. We're in it today. UFC 323 is upon us.
2-3.
Is Mr. Barnes can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this to be the last pay-per-view card of the year.
Indeed.
Yes, the last pay-per-view
last
card of the year.
The last pay-per-view.
There is going to be at some point pretty soon, there's going to be, what was it, like 3 weeks without any fighting?
I think it's going to be 6 weeks. I think it's going to be 6 weeks after the... Yeah. It's going to be like from December 13th till late mid-January. 324 will be the first card on the Paramount deal. And we're going to go sometime without any fights. It is the fighting off season.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting very creative on Knockout Analysis here, trying to keep content coming to you guys while we do that and monitor those 6 weeks like he just said. But for now, fighting is upon us, and we have UFC 323 and the fight card that is going to be at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Excuse me. And we're going to get right into it here. We're going to have Myron Santos facing off against Muhammad Naimov. This is going to be the first fight of the card, as Mr. Naimov out of Tajikistan, coming off of a win in his last fight to Bogdan Grad, who's kind of getting used as a punching bag at this point. He's coming off of a win, like I said. He is an MMA style fighter. He's facing Myron Santos, the Brazilian man himself. 8 wins by knockout for him. Houses a current record of, I believe it said, 17-1, coming off of a win in his last fight against Youssef, a win in his fight before that, and a win in his fight before that. 3-fight win streak. For me, I think this one's a fairly easy decision here. I don't see any line for it on ESPN, but I imagine Santos to be the favorite here, and I'm going to second that notion here, and I'm going to say Myron Santos wins this fight pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, there's not any odds for us on ESPN. I looked up fight odds via fightodds.io is what I've decided to do for this card. I know a lot of them. I've been researching a little bit for all this. So I know Santos is around like a minus... Yeah, I am a nerd. Minus 260-ish. Yeah, he's like a minus 240 according to Bet Online. Give or take, 240, 260, whatever you want to say. I'm not high on Myron Santos. I want this guy to lose. I think he robbed Francis Marshall. And I think his last fight was also very close. I think this guy's record is very, very padded. But I think Muhammad Naimov is the same, but in a different way. You know, his UFC record is about 5-1. He's beaten Nathaniel Wood. He beat Bogdan. I put some merit onto that. I put some respect on it, but I just think that Myron Santos, no matter what he does in this fight, he's going to get the decision. I'm going to take him for like a 29-28. I will say, considering that I'm predicting a 29-28, I think the minus 260, 250 line is absolutely absurd. I would say the value is on the underdog if I'm a gambling man, you know. If you want to throw a Panda Express bowl or plate on Muhammad Naimov, I wouldn't advise against it. None of this is gambling advice, but just consider it is all I would say. I'm going to say take Santos to win 29-28. He's younger. He has a longer reach, and he is a Ultimate Fighter victor, and I think that the UFC wants that show to succeed, considering the fact that a lot of the recent victors have been losing.
Well, that'll move us into the next one, where we will have Mansur Abdul Malik facing off against Antonio Tricali. This is going to be a fight that ends in questionable fashion simply because Mansur Abdul Malik is in the card and he's on the fight. He's facing Tricali here, who is 12-5, coming off of a loss in his last fight. Never mind, I've seen all I needed to see. He lost to Trayshawn Gore, Mansour Abdul Malik by whatever he wants.
Yeah, I don't think this fight's going to last very long. Mansour Abdul Malik, a lot of people think that he has been fixing his own fights and going later into the second and third round because of gambling purposes, because of the competition he's been facing and how good he looks on the feet and on the ground. Like, this guy, I think, is a complete prospect. And if he really wanted to, he should be able to finish Nick Klein a little bit earlier than he did. The Cody Brundage fight went much later. He won that fight. He won that fight by knockout. There was a head clash. I don't think it was some shit by Mansour Abdul Malik that made that fight a draw or a no contest, whatever it may be. It was just so split on that fight. Cody Brundage was up 2-0 on one judge's scorecards. Mansour Abdul Malik was up 2 on another judge's scorecards. Another judge had it 1-1. I think it was 2-0 Mansour Abdul. I think he's a very good prospect, as long as he's not doing any gambling tomfoolery. I think he should go out here and he should beat Antonio Trocoli, Mackenzie Dern's ex-boyfriend, by I think he should beat him by knockout within the first round. Antonio Trocoli's not UFC level. He's a big guy. Once again, Mackenzie Dern's ex-boyfriend. He got KO'd by Shara. He got a standing guillotine embarrassingly by Trayshawn Gore. I just don't think he's UFC level. And this fight has been rebooked from earlier this year. I think this is a layup for Mansour. I think he has a long career in the UFC, as long as he does not pull a who is that freaking guy, bro? Isaac Dulgarian. As long as he doesn't pull a Dulgarian, he's gonna have a long career.
That'll move us right into the next one here, where we will have Ibo the Last Ottoman Aslan facing off against Iwo Barniewski. I'm just going to be honest with you, and this is going to hurt Witt's heart. I cannot pick Ibo Aslan. I've picked him the last 2 times, and he's gotten devastated in both fights. I'm off the Ibo Aslan train, unfortunately. Give me Barniewski here, and I think he probably knocks him out in round 2.
Yeah, man. I mean, Ibo Aslan's been my guy. I've picked him the last 2 fights as well, but I think this is a layup for him. I think this is like a win and go home fight for Ibo Aslan. He fought UFC veteran Jan Kutalaba, got submitted. He fought Billy Illicana in one of the worst 10 fights, maybe even 5 fights of this year. They stood at range and just stared at each other for 15 minutes, and he ended up losing that fight, which doesn't look good. I don't think Billy Illicana's any good, and I think if Ibo really wanted to, he could have marched him down and he could have knocked him out. I don't really understand what it was. I know he switched gyms. He now trains with Magomed Ankalaev, who stares and stands at range too. You know, I'm not very high on Magomed Ankalaev. That guy has really no skill other than power. And I think Ibo Aslan's kind of the same way. If you take this guy to the ground, you can submit him. If you want to trade volume with him, you can beat him. But Iwo Barniewski, man, let's really look at him though. You know, I think this is more about Iwo being inexperienced than any other aspect. Babylon MMA. Who's heard of it? Have you heard of Babylon MMA, Kron?
No.
Have you heard of it? Yep, Kron ain't heard of it. And he knocked out Muhammad Ali. Not the Muhammad Ali, but a Muhammad Ali in his fight, in which he was a 2.5-1 underdog in. He knocked him out in 20 seconds. In the first exchange, he finished that guy. You know, if he gets in an exchange with Ibo Aslan, a guy who's never been knocked out, I think he is gonna get finished. I'm gonna ride it out with Ibo Aslan one more time. I don't love the line. I think he is like a plus 160 favorite. He's around a plus 160. Give me Ebo. The value's on him. I think this is a 50-50 fight. I think both guys have a lot of power. I think Barneski might have more skill in the grappling, but it's not going to get there. I think he's going to come in aggressive, and I think Ebo Osalan is going to be a seasoned, crafty vet, and he's going to counter him.
That'll move us to the next one. We have Edson Barboza facing off against Jalen Turner here. Edson Barboza coming off of a loss in his last fight to Drakkar Close. And I believe a loss before that to Lerone Murphy. And he won his fight before that against Yusuf, facing off against Mr. Jalen Turner here, who is coming off of a loss in his last fight to Bahamondes. And he lost to Patty Pimlet. Easy money. What the fuck is his name? Renato Moicano. He did have a performance of the night bonus for his victory over King Green. So that's not impressive at all in my book. Maybe in someone else's, but not in mine. But I have a feeling that Unction Barboza is going to be destroyed by the tarantula Jalen Turner. So that's going to be my pick here. I think Edson Barboza takes a second round TKO and gets his head used as a basketball.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have questions about Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner did retire at, I believe it was UFC 314 against Ignacio Bahamondes, or 313 it was. Now that I look at the ESPN stats, shout out Ignacio, shout out the dude from, shout out Jack Black when I mentioned the name Ignacio. Nacho Libre is a great film. And I'll say, man, Bobby Green, that fight really affected Jalen Turner's career. It's probably the latest and most egregious stoppage in the history of mixed martial arts. And I never say that, dude. I never say anything's a late stoppage. I like to watch him bleed, but that was way too much, and it was very disrespectful, and it took years off of not only King Green's career, but his life as well. And I think that really affected Jalen Turner's career because he had a finish over Renato Moicano if he actually goes down to the mat. Like, he absolutely flatlines Renato Moicano. One or two more follow-up punches, finishes that fight. And I think after that fight with Renato and the King Green incident, he wasn't super motivated coming into the Ignacio fight. And that's what led to him getting subbed and retiring. And I don't think he's going to do that in this fight. I think he's coming back off his retirement more motivated. Edson Barboza, he just got hugged against the cage against Drakkar Close. Like, I understand he's fought against title contenders. That's the only guys he's lost to. Bryce Mitchell, very good fighter. Giga Chikadze in 2021, a guy who had a lot of hype. Lerone Murphy in 2024. That's a guy who's very close to the title right now. I don't know, man. I think Edson's a little bit old. I think he's fought against the best of the best for some time, but I don't see him going out there and beating a Jalen Turner at this point in Jalen Turner's career. I think Jalen is one of the most physically gifted fighters. He's 6'3", at 155 pounds. That's a dime a dozen. I think he's going to be able to go out there. I think he's going to get a 30-27 decision against an older, declining Edson Barboza. I like the line of minus 300 too. I think it could be even wider if you ask me.
Can you see that on the screen, Whit?
I can.
We'll show the good people the Bobby.
I can't now. Okay, there. Yeah, now I can see it.
This is the showing you good people the King Green stoppage, of which we talked about.
We can't get copyrighted because we're not monetized. Fuck 'em.
Can't get copyrighted anyways. This is a fucking YouTube video that ain't ours. Who they gonna copyright? Not me. No, says Rick Ross said. No, sir. Not me. I just figured out I could do this, and I was kind of like, "Hey, we should do this." And there it is. Carrie Hatley just sitting there watching them.
Yeah. That's just crazy. That's like the only fight I would say. It's so crazy. That's the only fight. A lot of these I would say it's early. That one was, it's absurd, man. I'll let you go on with it, Kron. Go on.
So we've both, I think, picked our fighters for that one. Excuse me. And that'll move us to the next room, where we have number 14 ranked Marvin Vettori facing off against Bruno Ferreira. This is our GOAT, Marvin Vettori, with the Silver Surfer from Fantastic Four level chin. The Thing chin from Fantastic Four, a Hulk level chin, if you will, a Thanos level
Waldo
chin.
Cortez Acosta
level chin. All
Waldo
these things combine into this Italian guy that gets the shit kicked out of him, but also kicks the shit out of other people. Housing a 19-9-1 record, he faced last fight against Allen in a fight that me and Whit both picked him to win. Both thought that he won, and he did not. So I think he got robbed in that one. The fight before that against Elidze was another fight where they just had an absolute war. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, but all 3 fights have been arguable that he could have won any of them. He's facing off against Bruno Ferreira here. Bruno Ferreira is coming off of a win in his last fight against Jackson McVeigh, who turned out to be a total flop. He beat Petrosian before that, but lost to Magomedov before then. So this is going to be an interesting fight here. But Marvin has his ranking on the line as he's still ranked number 14. I think he defends his ranking here. I think he wins this by a very, very blood war, convincing split decision victory.
Yeah. Bruno Ferreira is in that he's in that sect of middleweight fighters that just gas out. Gregory Rodriguez, Abus Magomedov, Joe Pyfer, they're very skilled, and they go out there and they put their heart on their sleeve, and they have enough power and early fight stamina to be able to finish somebody. But once it gets past that first round, they're kind of cooked. I think this is the worst matchup you could imagine for a guy like Bruno Ferreira or any of those other guys I just mentioned. Marvin Vettori, excuse me. He has fought against the best of the best. I picked him against Roman. I picked him against Brendan. I think it's a very unpopular opinion that Connor and I agree that he beat Brendan Allen. He out-volumed him. He out-damaged him. And a lot of people will say that Brendan deservedly wanted that fight. And I will say Brendan went out there and he beat number 4 ranked Rainer de Ritter on short notice. Rainer de Quitter on short notice. So, good for him. I think Marvin Vettori still has a lot left in the tank. He's 32. That's young for middleweight. He did take a lot of damage in the Cannonier fight, but he also took a lot of time off from the sport. Roman Dolidze didn't take a lot of damage in. I don't think that was a super close fight. Brendan Allen, I think, is a fight he won. And I think Bruno Ferreira, he hasn't fought a high level of competition, as Kron just mentioned. Jackson Moose McVeigh has 0 wins in the UFC. He recently lost to Zach Reese on 2 days' notice. Armin Petrosian, his other win in 2025 is also Armin Petrosian is no longer in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I think he's going to fight a real veteran here, a guy with a granite chin. And I don't see Bruno Ferreira flatlining Marvin Vettori, especially after the death of Marvin Vittori's brother. I think he's going to be in here really motivated, and I expect a 30-27 from Marvin, or maybe a 29-28 if Bruno Ferreira goes out there and lands some damaging shots. He has an absolute dynamite chin. Some would even say a titanium chin. One of the best chins ever. Up there with Max Holloway, and like I was saying earlier when Kron was mentioning him, Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think he could throw would bat at Marvin Vittori's face. It would break, and he would keep marching on at you. And that's all I got to say about it. Let's go, Kron.
That'll move us right into the next one, where we will have Nazim Sadikov facing off against Fares Ziam. Sadikov coming off of a win in his last fight in the Azerbaijan card, where he beat Mata in that fight. Fares Ziam coming off of a win in his last fight against Mike Davis. I see this may be, just stating the obvious here. I fear as though the level of competition for Mr. Ziam hasn't been quite as good as what Sadikov has had to face. Facing guys like, Terrence McKinney and Mata and Bonfim and people like that. I think the names that Sadikov has had to face to get to where he's at now are a little bit more impressive than what Fares Ziam has had to replace or to face to get to where he's at now. Give me Nazim Sadikov here. Give me a late submission victory for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree to disagree with Kron here. I think the competition level is very similar. I think Mike Davis is better than anybody that Sadikov's faced. If we want to play him in math. Nicholas Mota, that fight was a lot closer than it should have been. I picked that to be kind of a foregone conclusion on the Azerbaijan card, and he almost got finished there. And Ismail Bonfim, he's been known to be kind of a gas bag at lightweight. He missed weight in his last fight. Ismail did against, I believe it was Taco Padilla that he faced.
I just want to point out that Fares did lose to Terrence McKinney.
He did. And Terrence McKinney is, I don't know. We'll talk about him very shortly.
In which Sadikov beat Terrence McKinney.
Hey, we'll talk about Terrence McKinney very, very shortly. But Terrence McKinney,
what's up, brother?
He's a very 50-50 type of guy. He's an all or nothing kind of guy. And I'm not going to judge somebody for losing to Terrence McKinney considering his track record. If you're a football fan, I view him as kind of like the Jameis Winston of fighters. You're either going to beat the best team on your best day, or you're going to lose to the worst team on your worst day. And I'm going to say that again probably in another few minutes whenever we talk about his fight with Chris Duncan. Nazim Sadikov, I think he is down for a scrap, but I don't think he's as technical as a Fares Ziam. Fares Ziam has a 6-inch reach advantage. He's younger. He's taller. He's a minus 135 favorite. It's a line that I really, really like. On top of that, Matt Frivola, a guy he's beat, an individual who was previously ranked a lightweight. Cuatro Puelles is a very good win as well. This guy goes out here and he wins fights. And his only bad losses against Don Madge in the UFC. Was his debut, which I'll give him a pass for. And Terrence McKinney, I think he's improved for that Terrence McKinney fight. It's been a few years. Give me Fares Ziam by decision. I don't see a finish either way or another. I will, however, pick this for... I'm going to pick this for my fight of the night. I think this is going to go the full distance. I think it's going to be entertaining. But give me 29-28 Ziam by decision. I like the minus 135. I think he's a deserved favorite. But at the same time, I wouldn't put my money here.
Going to move us into the next one where we have number 5 ranked Macy Barber facing off against number 9 Karine Silva. Karine Silva, your turn.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this either. Macy Barber missed this fight because she had a boob job. Well, actually, no, she missed her last main event against Erin Blanchfield because she got a boob job and she couldn't make weight and she passed the fuck out, dude. I don't really care about her last 6 wins. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Like, who the fuck is Kaylin Samara, bro? Like, genuinely, who? I don't even. I've never heard of Kaylin Samara or Seminara, whatever it is. She has the win over Amanda Ribas. Cool. It doesn't mean that much this year. Amanda Ribas' stock is as low as it can be. I think Karine Silva is kind of a get right fight for Macy Barber, but I don't know how checked in she is with the sport anymore. Give me Karine Silva.
That'll move us into the next one, which is Terrence McKinney facing off against Chris Duncan. This is a fight that we just previously mentioned. Terrence McKinney at 17-7 with his record, 8 wins by knockout, 9 by submission, 100% finish rate in his fights. Facing off against Chris Duncan here from Scotland, who is 14-2, 7 wins by knockout, 3 submissions. I am not a huge believer in Terrence McKinney here. Chris Duncan fighting out of American Top Team here. The problem, I think he wins this fight, and I think he wins it pretty easy. Give me Chris Duncan here by a late 3rd round TKO.
I'm gonna echo this with Kron. I mean, any guy that goes up there and does what he did to Jordan Vucinic gets my respect. I think Jordan Vucinic is a UFC fighter. Kron agrees with me on that. I know that. And he also went out there and he 29-28'd Mateusz Berbetsky in an absolute war. Terrence McKinney, once again, 50-50 fighter, but I think his last 2 wins are really Mickey Mouse. He got absolutely knocked out by Esteban Ribovic. If you go out there and really press the fight against Terrence McKinney, you can beat him. And that's what Esteban Ribovic showed. And I think Chris Duncan's going to do just that. Slava Borchev, his stock couldn't be lower. Damir Hadzovic, he's the guy from that Renato Moicano meme that says, well, if you wanted to fight longer, you couldn't have submitted me, guy. Or you shouldn't have submitted me. I mean, these aren't the highest level of names. I think Chris Duncan should go out here and win it. I don't really love a minus 180 being next to his name after he was a 2.5 to 1 favorite back-to-back times, especially with how Terrence McKinney is. I think Terrence McKinney beats anybody on any given night, but give me Chris Duncan to win this in the 2nd round by KO.
That'll move us into the next fight, where we have number 13th ranked Grant Halfguard Dawson facing off against Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson coming in at a 205 favorite here. He is coming off of a win in his last fight against Ferreira. This is a Diego Ferreira, not Bruno, as previously mentioned. He's won his last 3 fights, only one of them coming by way of finish. This is a guy that likes to sit in half guard for most of the fight. He is very content just staying on the ground. Some would call that a bitch maneuver. Some would call that smart. We haven't really decided yet here at Knockout Analysis. But I can tell you what I have decided here, that Torres is not going to win this fight. Give me Grant Dawson here. I think he wins by unanimous decision.
I mean, this is like a styles make fights type of fight. I know the UFC absolutely hates Grant Dawson in the way he fights. You're definitely not gonna pay to watch him fight. You don't want him to be the headliner of a main event, but if he goes out here and he wins this one, he's probably gonna get one way or another. Manuel Torres flatlined Drew Dober. He submitted the aforementioned surging Chris Duncan. And I think he's a good fighter. I think he's much better on the feet. And I think most guys are much better on the feet than Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson, even in the Carlos Diego Ferreira fight, which he sat in half guard for most of, the few minutes, if not minute, that were on the feet, he was getting pieced up. and it looked like he could have gotten finished. I think Emmanuel Torres lands a shot, he could win this fight. I think he has a lot more finishing potential than half guard Dawson. But I can't go against half guard Dawson in this one. I don't agree with the line. I mean, I kind of do because of the nature of it. You know, he's a minus two. Excuse me. He's a minus 210. Grand Dawson is, but I wouldn't put my hard-earned money on it. I would throw my Panda Express money on Emmanuel Torres because I think he has a chance to land a nice left hook and send Grant Dawson to the canvas, which is something that Dana White would very much enjoy because Grant Dawson has he's a very dry fighting style, to say the least. So I'll take Grant Dawson to 30-27 this, and I think there's going to be 12 and a half minutes of control time, and I think Kron will text me and say he's about to fall asleep during that one.
That'll move us into the next one, where we have Jan Blachowicz facing off against Bogdan Guskov. Number 5 ranked Blachowicz facing off against number 11th ranked Guskov. The Polish man facing the Uzbekistanian. From what line I can see, we have a minus 120 favorite for Blachowicz here. He is coming off of a decision loss in his last fight to the very, very surging Carlos Ulberg. Before that, he had a fight against Pereira that he lost via split decision and a draw against Ankalaev. So this man's been in there with the best of the best. He is a Hall of Famer most likely because they let anybody in that motherfucker in at this point, so they better let him in. Guskov did knock Nikita Krylov out in his last fight, which I believe was also the Azerbaijan card, but I could be mistaken. But that
was
one,
London, I believe.
London. Either way, what we have here is going to be an absolute war. This is my pick for fight of the night. I think this fight goes the distance, and I'm going to say that Bogdan Guskov slips it out by split decision here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to slightly disagree with Kron here. And by the way, I just want to say, it's not the London card. It was the UAE card with Whitaker and De Ritter. That was the Krylov card, or the Krylov and Guskov fight. I'm going to sit here and say, man, every fight I've watched Bogdan Guskov fight in, he has not won a round. Now, he's went out there and finished the motherfucker, which is cool. But Nikita Krylov, he was losing that fight until he landed the KO. Nikita Krylov's chin's gone. I'm very, very sad about that. Billy Elikana, a guy who I think is incredibly low level. And it was also on like 2 or 3 days notice that fight occurred on the Makachev versus Moicano card. He lost that first round. Elikana went out there and grappled him and almost submitted him. And I think that's something to really pay attention to because Jan Blachowicz, he knows how to guy here and he knows how to win rounds. A lot of people will point to the fact that he's 42 and say, oh, well, he's out of his prime. He's done. I think the Carlos Ulberg fight showed that is absolutely not the case. A lot of people will say also as well that he won that fight against Ulberg. I think Ulberg won 29-28, but I think it's very arguable. I think it was a close fight against a guy who was about to go and fight for the title against Alex Pereira, perchance. This guy has fought champions. He has fought against title challengers, and that's the whole entire list. You know, Adesanya, Reyes, Glover, Rakic, who unfortunately tore his ACL in that fight. Ankalaev, Pereira, Ulberg, like Kron was just saying, he's fought the best of the best. I think Bogdan Guskov, I think he's a layup for him. At minus, 120? I think Kron was saying. Yeah, he's minus 135. Yeah, he's a minus 135 according to Bet Online. That's what I'm going to go off of. It's the first line on fight odds. I think this is a layup for Blachowicz. I don't think Blachowicz is going to get finished. He hasn't been finished since 2019. I think he's a much more technical fighter, and I don't think he's going to finish Guskov. But if he was going to, I think it would be a submission late. But my prediction, I think it's going to be a 30-27. I think it's going to be a landslide for Jan Blachowicz and a people forget performance.
That'll move us into the next one where we have 10th ranked, possibly retiring Henry Cejudo facing off against Frank Ocean's Frank Ocean's boy toy, Peyton Talbot. Unranked Peyton Talbot going for a shot in the rankings here with Henry Cejudo. Unfortunately, I fear as though Henry Cejudo is old and washed up, and this is going to be a pretty easy win for Peyton Talbot. I wouldn't even be surprised if Talbot finishes him. So give me Peyton Talbot here to win by second round TKO and shoot themselves into the rankings.
This has been very much rumored to be Henry. Well, it's been straight out of Henry Cejudo's mouth that this is his last fight. But in my personal opinion, this is only his last fight if he loses. I think if he wins, that he will try to call for a title shot like his podcast buddy Kamaru Usman has tried to do. Take it for what you will. Peyton Talbot got absolutely grappled and dominated by Raoni Barcelos, who's continued to surge in the bantamweight division. I think Raoni deserves this opportunity way more than Peyton Talbot does. Peyton Talbot, also known as the guy from I think he's the other guy from the wrestling duo in Nacho Libre. Crazy that I've mentioned this Nacho Libre twice in the same video. But tell me he doesn't look just like him. He did go out there. He beat Felipe Lima, which is much to my surprise. I put a lot of respect on that victory. I don't think that Henry Cejudo is going to be able to put the same pressure and pace on Peyton Talbot that Raoni did. Henry Cejudo is a former flyweight and bantamweight champion. He's a lot smaller. His reach is a lot shorter. I think Peyton Talbot's going to finish Henry Cejudo here. Henry Cejudo is a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. He is a gold medalist in United States wrestling. And like I just mentioned, a flyweight and a bantamweight champion. But I think his prime is long past him. I think he retired too early and he came back too late into the sport. And I think it's Peyton Talbot's time. I think Frank Ocean's boy toy is going to surge up the rankings. I think he's going to find himself in a title eliminator after this one. Give me Peyton Talbot by first round knockout.
That'll move us to the next one where we have another possible pick for me for fight of the night. Number 2 ranked Brandon Moreno facing off against 5th ranked Tatsuro Taira. This fight's going to be an absolute war. The lines that I'm seeing are pretty much even for these guys. Brandon Moreno just got absolutely back on track with a win against Urseg here. The only person that he's lost to in his last 3 fights is Royval. So he's back on track now after a win against Steve Urseg. This is going to be a very interesting fight, I believe, with him and Taira. Taira obviously coming off of winning his last fight via submission against Park. Before that, he lost a split decision to Royval. Before that, he knocked out Perez. I like Taira in this one, I think. Give me Taira here and give me him by split decision victory.
Nobody does that to Henry Cejudo, is what Joe Rogan's about to say on Saturday night. And I think that after that fight happens, that Brandon Moreno is going to be very much glazed by Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan loves himself some Brandon Moreno, and I agree. I agree with them. Tatsuro Taira, I look at his last 3 fights, and I am a skeptic, to say the least. Alex Perez, he won that fight off of Alex Perez tearing his ACL. He didn't knock him out. Carlos Hernandez, the fight before that one, I said last three, but we're going to talk about the four of them. Carlos Hernandez has been a shaky fighter, to say the least. He's no longer in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And the Brandon Royval fight is kind of my magnum opus for fraudulent lines. Unfortunately, we did not have the cameras on, but I said Brandon Royval plus 300 is the greatest bargain ever. I said that to Kron back in the day. And Brandon Royval clearly won that fight 48-47. I don't really know what the split was. I just think that Tetsuro was undefeated, and the UFC wanted a Japanese champion, and they knew if he beat Royval that there was going to be a Japan card, and the judges would get paid a little bit more. I think he clearly won that fight, Brandon Royval did. He pieced him up on the feet, and he held his own on the ground. And Young Sung Park, yeah, whatever. Young Sung Park's getting cut after his next fight. Brandon Moreno, he is a former title holder. He is a Mexican GOAT. He went out there, pieced up, and dominated Amir Albazi. He pieced up and dominated Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg's a former title challenger. Amir Albazi's a top 5 flyweight. I think he's probably not going to be there much longer, for what it's worth. Amir Albazi. And the only people that Moreno's lost to is the best of the best. He's lost to Pantoja. He's lost to Sergio Pettis, who's doing great in the PFL right now. Davison Figueiredo, that was one of the great quadrilogies of this day. Probably the only quadrilogy of this day. And we're looking at Brandon Royval and Pantoja again recently. And I think that's a fight that could be made for a trilogy if Brandon Moreno goes out here and he beats Tetsuro Taira, which is what I expect him to do. But this guy is an elite grappler. Brandon Moreno has never been finished, and I don't expect it to happen. I don't expect him to be dominated in the grappling. Tetsuro Taira's bread and butter is the grappling. He's kind of like a Sulan Mabayev. If a Sulan Mabayev was Japanese, I think he would have the same hype that a Tetsuro Taira does. And that's really why I think all of it comes from, is the UFC trying to push Taira, because Japanese and Chinese dudes, and they want to really capture the mind of that fan base. And I just don't think Taira's at the level of these other guys, these top 3 to 4 guys in the rankings. I think Moreno goes out there, and I think he 49-46s him. Or wait, this is a 3-round fight. I think he 30-27s him in an absolute masterclass. And I think he calls out the winner of the flyweight title fight. I won't give away my pick there.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it here first. But next fight that we have is going to be our first of 2 title shots and defenses, where we have Alexandre Pantoja as a minus 238 favorite against number 1 contender Joshua Van, who is absolutely surging. There's no way to deny him. This is going to be interesting. I understand why the line is what it is for Pantoja. He's had the belt for so long, he's defended it for so long, and he hasn't lost in so long. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I don't think he's ever faced anyone quite as versatile as Joshua Van. He'll stand with you on the feet. He'll take you to the ground. He's not scared of anything. I think that Pantoja is going to have this belt taken from him in this flyweight title bout. And I think that Joshua Van is going to hold that belt for quite a while. But if Alexandre Pantoja loses or wins, I don't know if he's going to lose. He might retire with the belt.
I don't think. I mean, I think if Pantoja retires, it's because he loses. And he's 35. His teammate Kyoji Horiguchi's trying to fight him. And he's had a very, 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 very... He's easily the second best flyweight ever. And I know he has a head-to-head loss against Davison Figueiredo, one of my favorite fighters ever. But you can't deny the truth. He's went out there, he beat Moreno, he beat Royval, and his other three title defenses will be, I don't know if they'll stand the test of time, to say the least. We'll see how history treats him as he has to fight Josh Van out here. Josh Van, he has been a little chinny. He got pieced up a little bit in the Royval fight. And I think that if he didn't knock down Royval in the last 10 seconds of their fight, that he could have potentially lost. I think it definitely would have been a split decision at the bare minimum. I love this guy. This guy has shown to have a brick wall takedown defense against Silva and Ray Saruya and Cody Durden. Like, truthfully, this guy is the greatest anti-grappler at flyweight right now. I don't think there's a lot of guys that can truthfully stand up to him in that region. But if there is a guy, it is going to be Pantoja. But I have to sit here and say, man, Alexandre Pantoja and Merab Dvalishvili, they're both fighting on this card. I think that when they lose, nobody's going to really predict it because they've been such dominant champions. But I also think one of them is going to lose on this card. I think it's very possible. I think both of them is unlikely, but I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to side with my guy Kron here, man. Give me Josh Van to win this fight, man. Give me him to outpace and outvolume Pantoja. I think he's going to win a 48-47 split. I expect an immediate rematch, but give me a 48-47 split for Josh Van.
Hey, what's up, guys? Editing this on Friday. There was an issue with both Kron and I's audio after the Pantoja Van fight, so I'm just going to do a quick breakdown. Kron said 50-45 Merab whenever we were recording it, so I'm just going to go with that for him. He thinks Merab's going to absolutely dominate the fight like he has against so many other guys. I think that it's kind of going to be more of the same. I think Merab's going to win at 49-46. Jan normally starts out slow. He's going to drop the first round, and I think he could pull off the second or third round and heat up a little bit, but I think the later rounds are going to go to Merab to the cardio. Peter Jan, I think he's a better fighter, skill for skill, but I think Merab's just Merab, and he goes out there and he has a lot of swag, and there's not a whole lot that anybody's really going to be able to do against him. If Jan can look very mortal against him, then I think anyone else is going to as well. Jan's around a plus 350. That's a very steep line. You'll never catch Jan around that ever again. So take that for what you will. I think it's warranted. I wouldn't touch this fight with a 10-foot pole. And that's really all I'm going to say about it. That's it for this video. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Take care of yourselves. Keep your stick on the ice and watch out for the deer.